welcome to the show. I'm Max. If you haven't been here before, you've probably been here once or twice. You ask yourself, have you not came to RHMax before? Maybe once or twice, right? If not, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming to join us today. It is a happy Monday. We have CryptoCoffee in the house. He's going to be making espressos, Americanos. He's going to be making all kinds of stuff in words and gist. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. We're going to get into the background too, because I think I've heard, I've seen him on streams before. He's talked about it a little bit. We're going to see, was he the barista that got onboarded into 2017? I don't know. We're going to find out. Should be fun. Say hi to the chat. Hell yeah, Jerry Oak Smith. Yeah, I've been excited about this one too. I've watched Coffee for a while, and he's been said a few nice things about me recently. I had some time to talk in Vegas in the green room at during Maddie's thing as well, and definitely I'm looking forward to a long form conversation with him. I think he's got a lot of interesting insights to share for us for sure. Of course he does. Kaiser, hello, welcome. Good to see you again. Completion fails. Well, completion's going to succeed today, my friend, because you're in the right place to have some fun. Infotainment. That's right. That's what I like about the valuetainment. I really like that portmanteau of the two words and kind of what they try to do in the show, because after Richard went on there, I've actually been watching valuetainment a little bit from time to time. I'm like, I kind of like these guys. They actually interview some interesting guests and have some good, again, long form conversation. If you're into that, I mean, that's what I like too. That's why I like Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, All In podcasts, all that stuff. That's what I like to watch. So tell us all about, actually, that is on the list of things to talk about. We will talk about HEX and what it means to be a hexagon and all that stuff. It's just, should be fun. We will definitely talk about ETHw for sure. Parity. I don't know about that, but we will get into it. And we'll come back to that question as well, if all goes well. My money don't jingle. It folds. Okay. I don't know if that's a cash joke. Okay. I like it. Either way. Anyways, without further ado, welcome to the show, CryptoCoffee.
Hey guys, what's up, RHMax? Thanks for having me here.
I want to say, you've been maxed. What is that one thing where he's like, you've been maxed. Welcome to the show. You've been RHMaxed. Thought about doing that kind of intro.
Oh, I've been RHMaxed for a long time, so nothing new.
That is very nice for you to say. I appreciate it. People have been leaving some nice comments for me lately. I guess I still get the ones where they're like, somebody said the other day, it was funny. He said, you can tell the direction the person's life is heading in by the way they wear their hat. And I'm like, what? That's so subtle. It's such a subtle thing. I'm like, okay, I don't get the point. I don't think there's no data to back that up, by the way. But I like that smart joke that you just dunked on me, I guess. So at least I get some nice haters. At least, we have one troll too that comes in. His name's Serge. Everyone thinks he's from Serbia. It's unclear. But he actually asks some interesting questions sometimes. So we let him stay. I don't kick him out. I'm like, Serge, as long as you're not messing up the chat, I let you stay because you're provocative and
yes.
At least a good conversation sometimes.
There's an art to trolling. I mean, you can do it subtly. And if you're not being a blatant asshole, it could give people something to talk about, and it could actually help the argument because they make themselves look stupid in the process and everyone else gets to learn.
It does invite, there, like you said, there's good and bad trolling. It does invite conversation. And that's what I want to do. If a troll comes here and they start saying provocative things that, hey, we know they're probably wrong, but hey, let's discuss it. Maybe there's something to it that, let the trolls help us have better conversations. That's what I try to do.
That's right.
Let's go. Afternoon Hexagons. All right. Wild SJ's here. Welcome, SJ. Always nice to see you. Always nice. We're going to do 100. Well, it's supposed to be a surprise guest on 100% uptime, but I imagine if you read the title and you see when I set it up and you see it's talking about Scivive and Fix the World, you can imagine who may appear in 100% uptime this weekend. You never know. Thank you. Well, we hope to make it a good show. I mean, try to make every show a good show. I don't always succeed via not blaming the guests. I blame myself from time to time if I don't come prepared enough or ask the best questions. But we're going to try to get.
I like the format that you do. 2 hours long, but it's all value packed, full of actual alpha, things that are actionable. People can actually learn from it. And I think the strategy is something that other creators can and should learn from. So you make these 2 hour streams, you pack them with value by prepping the questions in advance. These questions are things that the community wants to hear about. And then you clip them out. So in case somebody doesn't want to watch the whole 2 hour stream, you've got, 5 new videos of 2 to 3 minute clips with just the question and answer, just really the essence of it. Yeah, I think more people need to do that or something like that, because that's probably the least effort for the most value approach.
You just said it. You just said it. Like literally when I started streaming, I was, and even in life, I'm like, okay, how can I get the most out of the least amount of work? How can I make the process as frictionless as possible? And that's it. I was just like, I can just do interviews. I can clip them. I can ask good questions, because if you do interviews and you don't ask good questions, you don't have good conversation, you can't clip anything. Nobody wants to hear about, a 40-minute rant about something they don't care about. But if you do oh my God, you're wearing the shirt. I just noticed it. Nice. That's awesome,
right,
man. I'm glad you got one.
It felt fitting for, your name is RH Maximalist and someone handed me this shirt.
Oh, I love that.
It's weird to define what an RH Maximalist is. I don't really like the word outside of the community, because people are just like, who's that? And why are you glorifying this one man? It's like, but in reality, I'm pretty close to an RH Maximalist. I mean, I really only like products that either are stuff that he's built or support and surround stuff that he's built. But if I had to self name, I'd probably pick HEX Maximalist or like Pulse Ecosystem Maximalist, something more easier for other people to hear, so we don't look so culty. But some people are culty in the space. Some people just blindly say, well, if Richard said it, it must be true. It's like, we're all just human beings, guys. Even the big boss Richard can be wrong sometimes, not often, but yeah. This is a weird slogan, Richard Hart Maximalist. It's like saying I'm a CryptoCoffee maximalist. It's like, you got to be careful. You got to be careful with blindly following anybody at all. I always preach thinking for yourself, critical thinking, self-sovereignty, making your own decisions. Don't just click a button because I told you to or Richard told you to. We don't actually tell people to do anything. There's a degree of risk in everything. And so that's a point that gets lost pretty often in crypto. People just want a leader and people just want to follow. But really, the more you can educate yourself, you can navigate this a lot better if you just take the time to learn and make your own decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something I try to bring too, is just even before, well, I can't say before Richard. I think during the time I found Richard, and it was during a time I was new to crypto. He was the perfect mentor at the time. He was Bitcoin maxi, then went into ETH and HEX and all this stuff. But the last 3 or 4 years, I've become more just first principles thinking. I think it's what you kind of hit on too, like just thinking for yourself, thinking from the ground up, not just saying, oh, this won't work because of this, or this is how it is because society says it is. Actually look at, what is it made of? Okay, how can I make it cheaper, better, faster, stronger? How can I, if everyone thinks it's good, well, is that the truth? Let me dig into it instead of just, following the crowd. I mean, that's contrarian thinking as well as first principles thinking. But I think that's something that, Richard talks about in the books a lot. Scivive and Fix the World. If you haven't read them or listened to them, SJ has narrated them. Go check those out on YouTube. But those are the things that when you're, Richard Hart Maximalist, I think one of the other things I get sometimes is like, oh, why do you talk about other coins? Or why do you, somebody commented that you should change your name from RH Maximalist because you don't just talk about RH stuff or something. And I'm like, so when I explain it, I say, I'm not an RH product maximalist. I would say, if I would more finely tunedly say it, I would say I'm RH, like anything that helps HEX or helps PulseChain, I'm a maximalist for that. But even more than that, it is about his ideals, his mission. I love longevity research. I think that's an amazing thing that we should be putting money, time, energy towards. A lot of the stuff he talks about in the books, those are things that can help you be healthier, wealthier, wiser, all that stuff. That is good for your mental health. It's good for your pocketbook, monetary, physical wealth as well. And his products just kind of tie it all together. So it's not, RH Maximalist doesn't mean HEX Maximalist to me. It doesn't mean PulseChain Maximalist, all these things. It means Richard Hart as a person, his ideal and his mission. I think that's so important that I want to remind myself, if I ever get too far away, if I ever start, this is boring, it's bear market, I want to start trading or doing other things or looking at other coins, I remind myself, hey, like, what's going to take me further in life? Is there another founder that's better to follow? Is there another, is there a better ecosystem that's going to make me richer? There's nothing else better out there. So why don't I stay here, have some fun, enjoy it, be with the community, and we all get rich together, and mentally as well as, in the pocketbook. So that's why I look at RH Maximalism. It's not in a very healthy way as I can possibly describe it.
I think everything is nuanced in a world where people wish things were more black and white, and it's a confusing, chaotic world out there. I get it. So the job of people like us is to help clear the air on some of these really complicated issues. But at the end of the day, if you don't make your own decisions, communities tend to collapse when they place blind faith in a single leader. So from what I've seen, I'm super pleased with the HEX community and the HEX ecosystem. Everybody that I've talked to in here seems to have their own opinion, and they're very vocal about it. And sometimes, the fighting on Twitter and stuff is actually kind of productive, because we could actually get to, if it's not just name calling, we actually kind of get to the bottom of some tricky issues that are brand new, because really a lot of what we're doing in crypto is paving the way, like where there's no road. So we're going where there is no road. We're setting the precedent for future people. And, it's tough sometimes. So people need to, I think we're doing a good job is what I'm saying. Brandon likes to call it the immune system, or I should say rags to riches. He likes to call it the immune system of HEX. So because we all have this mentality, or at least most of us, some of the newer guys need to probably learn this mentality, but the immune system kind of vets ideas as they come into the ecosystem. And, some people are violently against, let's say, a new project that comes into the space. This is what I've been noticing recently. And some people are like more of a, well, okay, let's sit back and let's see how it goes. It seems to be kind of safe, but I'm not going to start shilling it. And then some people go all in, and then, the dust settles, and, let's say, for example, the project gets hacked. We all kind of take a post-mortem and learn from it, and then start talking about, okay, this is a recent example of something that didn't work. Let's remember this, guys, next time, because it's a dangerous world out there in crypto. There's a lot of landmines you could step on. And some of them are new, and some of them we've never seen before. But for guys like you and me that have been around since 2017 or 2015 for me, I've seen so many of these different kinds of traps that I tend to be better than most at identifying them. But hey, I still fall for it, right? I still lost money in certain coins, even during the bull market,
everybody lost money if they didn't sell at the top of the bull market, right? You lost paper gains, though. They're paper losses, I guess you'd say.
That's true.
Yeah. So just on the community point too, I think what I try to do is, and I try to avoid drama. I think it can be used. I guess that's the best thing you can get out of it. Does become productive and influence your behavior in a good way at some point, whatever you define good as. But I just try to keep in mind disagreement over disrespect. It's totally okay to disagree with people, but when you start disrespecting them, that's when it just goes, oh, now I'm offended. I got to dig in harder. You don't get to the truth. You don't get to like what you're trying to get to if you start with, not being respectful once you disagree. So totally we gotta, you see the spats going back and forth, and it's usually because somebody offended the other person. And now no matter what they say, they're just they just don't like them or whatever, for whatever reason.
Yeah, sometimes it boils down to simple name calling, and that's the kind of shit I just stay away from. Yeah. Guys, we got 24 hours in a day. If you're scrolling through Twitter, if you're scrolling through someone else's argument that's 100 comments deep, you've just wasted an hour of your day. You need to get a better hobby, sir or ma'am.
Yeah, it's man, I'm glad
it's a rabbit hole. I can get sucked into it too, and then I realize, what the hell am I doing? These are two people that I've never met in my life, calling each other names, and they're less educated than me. So like, why would I care?
On your deathbed, are you going to say, oh, I wish I would have scrolled down further on the Twitter feed. I wish I would have won that argument. I wish I would have worked more hours in my day job. No, you're not going to be thinking any of that stuff.
Yeah. But it's a sport for people like Richard, and I think the tact that you have to have is
clout chasing.
Clout chasing. So does the person actually have more followers with you? If you're arguing with some nameless troll whose profile picture is Pepe the Frog, and they've got 2 followers and they're following 500 people, and let's say their account just got created a month ago, chances are that it's just a spam account built for trolling purposes. And if not, who cares? It's just some guy living in their mom's basement, and if they're so obviously wrong. I know it's hard, right? It goes against human nature. You want to, your brain is telling you have to win this fight, but it's not even real life, guys.
Yeah. Train your brain to be like, I don't want to win, because winning makes me spend all this energy and brain power to get really nothing in the end other than a little tiny internal check mark. Right. That, I told this people that, I showed them, like, play better games, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Don't play those games.
Exactly. It's choose your battles, right? But some battles, even if you win, you actually lost. So
Yes.
you lost your
Exactly.
time, you lost your mental energy, your mental health. So
Yeah.
cool. We're on a self-help tangent here.
I know the first 15 minutes, I didn't know we were going to go into that. I mean, I love it. I could talk an hour about that, but I don't think anyone else wants us to. Except SJ, she'd stay here with us, but everyone else not so much probably. Yeah. Why don't you? So again, I was saying before I took you in, I watched a lot of your streams and streams of other people. I kind of got a little bit of your story, but I just, for people who haven't quite got a clear picture of where CryptoCoffee came from, can you just give us the juice on, were you onboarded at Starbucks at some point? Like, how did you get into crypto? How did you get into Richard Hart stuff? Why did you decide to join the winningest community that ever existed?
Good question, sir. Well, it all started in 2015. Recently had graduated college as an engineer, ended up at a financial company, the corporate 9-to-5 lifestyle, just kind of landed in there because that was the path that you took. That was the path that everyone around me told me was going to be successful. And I get into this corporate finance job. I see the suits at the top and, they're all dressed up in collars and ties every day. And, they're making money, but they're essentially a slave to the system. So from basically the moment I started in my corporate life as not an engineer, but in finance, I kind of flip-flopped. I realized, my God, I have to get out of here. If I have to spend the next 40 years in this rat race, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. There's got to be a better way. So I started side hustles of all kinds. And I started looking up just personal finance tips on my own to reach financial escape velocity where I wouldn't have to work for another human being anymore. And I don't necessarily do well with like hierarchical structures either. I hate being told what to do. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat feel the same way. You have a boss who's a piece of shit and they just want you to work long hours for, getting no credit at the end of it. It's not always the best system. I bounced from there to more of a tech bro job. So I was literally a tech bro for 5 years at an app company. We were a consultancy that made apps and websites for different Fortune 500 companies. But the whole time I was doing these 9-to-5 rat race gigs, I never looked at it like, my retirement plan. Because I was like, there's got to be a better way than working 40 years at a job you either hate or you just kind of hate or you just don't really like that much. It was soul sucking, right?
Even if you like it, now you got golden handcuffs. It's like, it's a lose-lose.
Yep. And that's what I saw from the people that were older in the whole system. They, it seems like nobody really talks normally. Everybody uses these words and like this vernacular that's almost like business lingo. Nobody really says what they mean in the corporate life. Everyone's very tiptoeing around people's feelings. I like to get straight to the point. I like to make connections that are either deep or funny. Your sense of humor is stifled at these places because you can't even tell a joke without getting, risk of, is this going to offend somebody and I'm going to send to HR.
Yeah.
Anyway, I started messing around with trading. So don't do that. I learned that in 2015. My intro to crypto was PulseX, and I was seeing these coins pump all day long. Like, this coin's up 30% today. This coin's up 50% today. Maybe if I could just find some way to capitalize on this, if I could predict which ones were going to pump or whatever, I can make overnight millionaire success money. Obviously, that's probably how a lot of people get into crypto, seeing the massive gains and thinking that they could just get in there and get out in a year or two and make millions. And obviously that does not work. So I learned the hard way that trading doesn't work. I lost somewhere in like the tens of Bitcoins, which at the time a Bitcoin was like $500, right? So I would just buy a couple Bitcoin every paycheck and then I would just lose it in the casino of gambling, of trading, buy a couple more. And I think when I calculated all of it, I must have lost like 30 to 40 Bitcoin, which if I would have held that today, it would have been millions of dollars. But at the time, it was like a couple $1,000s. So it wasn't devastating. And I was like, okay, well, I can still, buy myself back into the game with my paychecks and whatnot. I started different side hustles along the way. I started a social media marketing agency. Didn't really work. I tried to teach fitness centers how to get more clients. So I understand how marketing works online, like limited time offers and all these different tactics. But I tried that and I just wasn't the best at sales. And I think in that particular scenario, it was because I hadn't sold myself on what I was selling to other people. Unlike HEX, where I'm totally sold myself a long time ago. Like I'm all in. Anyway, that didn't work. Other side hustles like website development. I used to make websites for people. And this would be like after work stuff. And so the final thing that I tried that failed, and these all failed, by the way. The thing that failed right before I got into HEX was an online e-commerce platform called CryptoCoffee. So I mistakenly thought that people would want to buy things with cryptocurrency, not realizing that they just want to hold this shit because it goes up in price. And they have no interest in selling it whatsoever. So obviously, me being technically minded, I went down the rabbit hole. I installed my own like BitPay, or what was it? Something BTC server. And it wasn't BitPay because that was centralized. I made like a self-hosted payment server, BTC Pay. And I spent so much time with this platform, like using WooCommerce and all these plugins and whatnot, all for nothing essentially, because I was selling coffee. Basically, I was a caffeine dealer for a while and charging money, selling drugs on the internet. What else is crypto for? But no, I'm just kidding, guys. Yeah. And
don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Or if you do, use Monero, but don't do that.
Yeah. And so I didn't lose a bunch of money, but I didn't really make any money either. So I would just sell coffee. I had giant crates of coffee in my old apartment. And once I got rid of the last like crate, I was like, well, I can't keep doing this because it's not going anywhere. Nobody, like the few sales I'm getting is like not worth the time. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze, so to speak. And then I've been following Richard Hart since 2017, probably around the Roger Ver debate time. I don't remember the exact day, but I was always into self-help as well and self-improvement. Much less today, but at the time I was into all that stuff, and it can become an addiction, guys. Self-help and self-improvement can become an addiction, so be careful with that. But Richard Hart was one of the few people I was still following. I was like, wow, no one's heard about this guy really yet. He seems to be on the ball with everything, especially related to crypto, but also his life advice. And so he really built my trust and respect at an early age, in the 2017 bubble. Plus, after everything crashed, he looked even smarter. And then I heard he was coming out with his own coin, so I knew I had to pay attention to it, whatever that may be. And I remember, if you guys think waiting for PulseChain took a long time, or it's taking a long time, you guys should see how long we all waited for HEX. We waited about 2 years from the idea's inception to launch. And people were equally as frustrated, but it was a little bit different because nobody had sacrificed money up front. So HEX launched as a finished product, which was a little bit different. But we were still all just restless and stuff, but the anticipation was so high for me and a small group of others at the time, probably like maybe less than 1,000 people. But the people that entered the adoption amplifier in the early days were some of the pioneers that really believed in the product, really were sold on HEX, and I knew I was sold as well. But when people started shit talking it and basically just saying blatant lies about how HEX was a scam in the early days, slandering Richard Hart's name all over the place, he was doing his best to defend himself, but it was me and a couple other guys that just really hated, seeing our bags spoken about like that. We wanted to get out there and defend our bags. It was me, Dollar Cost Crypto, RG3, and Hexologist. Those were the OG4 YouTube guys. And then we quickly realized that because we were getting so much attention and praise and, encouragement from the community, we were like, wow, okay, there are people here. They do want to hear this side of the story. And so because it was so controversial, it actually helped us in the early days because the community banded together even harder than I think it otherwise would have. So it was almost a blessing in disguise that HEX had so much controversy around it. And I think I made my first YouTube video. Technically, I made my first YouTube video like a couple days before HEX launched, but that account got banned because I tried to advertise the video. I tried to like put money into it. And they're like, you can't advertise crypto, ban. So I started a new account and I just decided to call that account CryptoCoffee because of a lack of creativity, essentially. I was like, well, I've already got this.
I don't know how you could be anything else. You have a very distinct coffee story. Like, I don't know how you could call yourself anything else.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, my regular name is Matt, but call me whatever you want, guys. And basically, we were out there defending our bags. A lot of the community responded positively, and then people just started hopping on board. Next thing you know, like Discourse Syndicate was out there. They gave the community a way to essentially come on the channel. If they were a little bit scared or timid about hopping on YouTube, they would come on the Discourse Syndicate channel, get interviewed, have a circular kind of hangout session, a virtual hangout session. Hexologist was doing a daily live stream, riling everybody up. I was doing like educational how-to videos and stuff. And Miguel, we've all kind of found our niche and our journey of what we specialize in when it comes to content creation. And to see everybody and where they're at now, it's just leaps and bounds better, which makes me more confident than ever before because you should have seen the days when we had 100 views on our channel, or less than 100 views on our channel. Sometimes we
that
had
was
to ask ourselves.
5 months ago for me. 5 months ago, I had 100 views.
And look,
I was like,
you can start up a
oh,
HEX channel
God.
today, and you can start getting a couple thousand subscribers in a month or two. Whereas for me and for all of us to get our first 1,000 subs took like 6 months. So the snowball rolls down the hill a lot faster now because there's so much mass already in the ecosystem. So the community has so much mass that I think it's a lot easier to get in there. And a lot of people have, and I see a lot of awesome new people coming in, showing their face and making videos about HEX and PulseChain and why they're so great, the other side of the ecosystem. So at the same time, the controversy in HEX and PulseChain in the early days, in a way, helped us because we became the underdogs, right? And with something to prove, we had a lot more vigor in which we went about promoting HEX and PulseChain. And so many other people kind of agree with that. And I think that appeals to a lot of people. A lot of people like being on the winning team with something to prove. If everybody agreed, there wouldn't be any opportunity left on the table, right? If everybody agreed that HEX was awesome, well, there wouldn't be nothing left to prove. HEX would probably be $1,000 and we could all go home. We'd all be rich. So we've got this uphill battle of narrative creation to really get out there. We need to use our words, and we see new people coming in all the time, like yourself, like Alex and Dipcatcher from Hedron and Maxi, like the other guy that I forgot his name. He's Maxim. That guy. I see new YouTubers all the time coming in, and some of them have really high quality thoughts, ideas, and presentation. Great microphones, great video cameras. Really, it doesn't take that much.
I finally got a great microphone according to chat. God, I can't. That's one thing I'm a little sensitive about. Anyone talks about, oh, it sounds like you're in a bathroom. I'm like, God, you know how much time the internet spending this shit, and you're going to talk about my microphone right now? But eventually, it did lead me to getting a Rode, and now I've heard it sounds much better. So slight tangent, but.
The Rodes are good. If you want a mic recommendation, guys, the wireless mics, the Rode Wireless 2, it's a great microphone. I'm using the Shure SM7B. This is the Joe Rogan mic, $400, okay. But it's worth it because it makes your voice sound all smooth and buttery.
Love those buttery voices.
Everyone does. So the only thing is you got to be close to it and really, about a fist away from it. Anyway, where was I? Yeah. That's the story of CryptoCoffee, and I think it's really blossomed into a thriving ecosystem that, in my opinion, we've already hit critical mass in the community, not yet the world of adoption, but because the community is so large and cohesive and unstoppable, I think it's only a matter of time before HEX and PulseChain and the good stuff within that ecosystem will eventually start to dominate all of cryptocurrency, especially in the next bull market.
Amazing, man. Yeah, no, that was way more detailed than I heard in the previous interviews. So that is, great name, and it's very catchy. Very, you can't miss. Think about Richard now. You can't misspell it. It's like one of those things. Everyone loves coffee. I mean, you ticked a lot of boxes.
It's an alliteration. I figured, 2 C's, CryptoCoffee. It rolls off the tongue. Yes. Now, one interesting side effect is that there's a lot of other people that have channels like Crypto and Coffee or Crypto with Coffee because they thought it was like a creative podcast name. But because I'm the most popular version of CryptoCoffee, it's actually kind of, I think, a net positive because
they drive it to you.
People get funneled into me even when they might be looking for something else. So I think that's a nice little side effect.
You guys hear that? Marketing alpha right there. Marketing alpha, branding alpha.
Got lucky.
What do you think about this? You think HEX is in crisis right now? Like what?
Oh my God! Everybody run! Everybody sell your HEX. I mean,
what is the case for like HEX being like? What is the case for HEX? Us being sad about how HEX is stuck at 3 cents or whatever right now, within context of the bear market. And what is the case for, wow, this opportunity is beating you in the face. How are you not spending every dime to go, to make sure you're into it? Just go on with that.
It just depends how you want to look at it, guys. If you're scared and this makes you scared with HEX being down 90%, if you don't see it as a buying opportunity, then don't buy. Sell it all and sell it to people that do believe, because that's what bear markets do. They shake people out, and they're basically an exchange of hands from the impatient to the patient. So there's a whole bunch of believers with limit orders all the way down, 1 penny and below, that are ready and willing to buy your 3 cent HEX from you. So if it really does make you scared and you're not able to see, 2-3 years into the future, if you don't know that crypto is cyclical, that markets are cyclical, and that it's once the Fed starts printing money again, that all going to come back. Then if you think Hex is, and crypto in general is just down and to the right forever, you shouldn't even be here. So
yeah.
Don't play this game. If it's going to keep you up at night, if it's going to add to your mental anguish that, you know, maybe you're down 50 or 60% on your money, I wouldn't even, this is not the game for you. If you're investing money, or if you're investing more than you're willing to lose, crypto is not for you in general. But if you're dollar cost averaging at the dips, historically, this is the best strategy in which to make life-changing wealth generation over the next couple of years. So when crypto comes back, I think Hex is poised to go into the double digit, maybe triple, maybe even 4-digit number of X's, right? We might even tap 1,000X. I know it sounds crazy, right? But in crypto, things can go higher than you ever thought possible, and they can also go lower than you ever thought possible. And we're in that low point right now. Now, this isn't even the first time we've seen 3 cents. We tapped 3 cents earlier too, a couple months ago. So to me, this is not, because that memory of 3 cents is so fresh. I'm not, you know, shouting from the rooftops that it's all over, guys. Everybody pack up your bags, let's go home. But for people that this is their first rodeo, I understand why you might be scared, but the price you pay for massive life-changing gains in cryptocurrency is extreme volatility. And if you can't stomach that, and we talk about this all the time. So if, you know, it's going to keep you up at night and you can't stomach the volatility, then you're not going to get the gains. So if you're not like, if you don't want to double down at the lows and dollar cost average in, I don't know what to tell you. Like it is hard. It sounds easier said than done. I understand, especially for a first timer, but I've been in this situation several times. I mean, twice at least, like once in the, you know, my trading days when I was losing all my money. And then another time in the 2018 bear market where I lost 90% of my value. I watched my value drop 90% before. And so this is nothing new under the hood for me. It actually makes me more confident knowing that we have a product that's so early. So if you need some conviction and some proof, you can go look at the chart history of anything that's been around for a couple of cycles. Go look at Ethereum, go look at Bitcoin, even look at stuff like Litecoin. You know, it's not, the gains on Litecoin aren't that good, but it did survive many, many cycles because it came out right after Bitcoin. And it just by virtue of surviving and not dying and still having somewhat of a community, it did gain in price over, you know, the past 8 years. Now, it didn't give you many, you know, life-changing gains, but it's just proof, social proof, you know, historical proof that things that survive, that have somewhat of a community, are going to survive via price as well. And so take that and apply it to Hex, which has a massive community that blows everything else out of the water. What do you think is going to happen to Hex in the next cycle? Like, this is really unprecedented in terms of the type of product that we have, the long-termness of it, right? The community that we have behind it, the founder, the self-fulfilling advertising, right? Because so many people are rich now, they can afford to advertise and promote the product themselves. I mean, there's so many good things going for it. The game theory dynamics within the coin, where people lock up longer and take money off the table by expressing their belief in the coin. We've got a staking class that is basically like the holders in Bitcoin on steroids. So
yeah,
if you can't,
if
you can't shine the light on some of these positive things in Hex, then it's going to be really hard for you to hold. So if you're listening to FUD and people telling you to dump, ask their reasoning. And like, if you really agree with them, then go ahead and dump. I'm not telling you to do anything.
I think there's a dichotomy of generally 2 different kinds of people around the community or participate. And I would classify them as like the people who have been in it long enough to have bought 3 cents before, and the people who bought it at 30, 40, 50 cents. And they're sitting right now like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. And that leads to a lot of the, you know, turmoil and a lot of the like doubt and things like that. But it's just 2 different mindsets because, you know, of course I'm not in the latter group. So for me, I'm not over leveraged. I don't feel that kind of pain. To me, I just look at it as, wow, this is, you know, and what's the worst case? What's worst case scenario? We go, what if we go to 1 cent? What if we go below 1 cent? What if we go to, you know, 0.1? If you don't believe it's ever going to go back up, if you don't believe crypto has cycles and these things and Hex is, you know, Richard, if you believe Richard's going to, if you believe a billionaire founder whose mission is glory is going to rug pull you with no liquidity to do so whatsoever, then yeah, this is probably not the right product for you. But that is you are in the minority of people who are in the industry or in the community who think that way. I wouldn't say that's the most healthy thing to think about if your goal is financial freedom. and being a community where the fundamentals are the strongest attribute of what we're going for.
Well said, man.
It's so yeah, wrapping up, I don't think HEX is in crisis mode right now. I think people in HEX at 50 cents are in crisis mode, understandably. But
well, let me do the quick math for you guys. If you guys want to understand the power of dollar cost averaging, and you haven't heard my videos where I blab about it over and over again, let's say you bought the absolute top of HEX at 50 cents. You threw in $500 at 50 cents. Then you wrote it all the way back down, 90% down to 5 cents. And then you doubled down because you have conviction that the cycles are going to come back. And that HEX is going to come back because it's immutable, 100% uptime, never been hacked, yada, yada. Let's say you throw in $500 at 5 cents. Well, what's your average price now? A lot of people might just think, oh, it's 25 cents because it's halfway in between 5 cents and 50 cents. No, it's not. It's actually 9 cents. So because you bought the top and the bottom, your dollar cost average is much, much closer to the bottom. That's just how the math works. Like your dollar cost average price is now 9 pennies, meaning HEX only has to go back to 9 cents for you to break even, which seems much more attainable to a lot of people. So that's the power of dollar cost averaging, is if you did buy the top, you can buy some of these low bottom prices and get your average price down to even like 6 cents, 7 cents. Whereas the people that aren't doing that, they have to wait all the way until HEX goes back up to 50 cents to feel that feeling of gain. So if you want that feeling of gain earlier, you can dollar cost average at a lower point.
TA. I love that one of our biggest community members' name is, every time somebody says DCA, I think of DCC and vice versa every time. It's such a good branding as well.
Yeah.
I think I saw a tweet from a No Context Heart, which is, if anyone likes to hear out of context Richard quotes, that's a funny Twitter account. And it had a picture of DCC and Richard probably on one of the podcasts we did together. And it said something about DCC and DCAing, but it was like a DCA joke. So like that branding, you and his branding, it's going places. It's good.
Oh yeah.
Just scrolling through the chat for a sec. Yes, devs do something. Yeah, I'm sure they're just sitting on their butt right now. They're like,
I think he's joking.
Why is everyone complaining so much? This is weird. I'm sure that's what they're doing.
I love that though. It's like that's almost a meme. The reason that's like a joke in crypto, will the devs please do something, is because there is an infection of the mind that everybody in cryptocurrency has, where they want to sit on their ass and do nothing at all and wait for other people to pump their bags for them. The difference about HEX is that you are the network. We literally preach that you are the network. So if you want the price to go up, you go get off your ass and do something about it, right? And that's so different than what other coins have established in the paradigm of crypto today. A lot of them, they have a web page, and then their about section is, here's our team. Look at us. We've all got a bunch of suits on. We've got 50 years of combined experience in the financial sectors, and they look all professional. And then they essentially make a bunch of promises, which could register you as a security. They make a bunch of promises, and they make a roadmap, which is really just a list of future disappointments of things that they may or may not follow through on. And even if they do, it may or may not make the price go up. And if you're here for the price to go up, a lot of these new cryptocurrencies, they might have cool ideas, but they might be overlooking the only thing that anyone in crypto cares about. Your crypto might do something highly complex, and it might be this really sweet Rube Goldberg machine, but it wasn't designed with any fundamentals or any incentive to really hold for much more than one cycle at the most. And that's what I see a lot of in crypto. So it's armchair quarterbacks saying, devs, please do something, which I know that guy was joking, but like, that's how a lot of people think. They just don't want to take any responsibility. They want to throw $100 in a cryptocurrency and make it go to 100,000 and then call it a day. That just doesn't happen.
Is that so? that narrative too of, we talk about 10,000x meme. Every project now in the community is expected to do 10,000x. All this stuff. If not explicitly, we're kind of like, okay, when you're thinking about investing in it, is it going to be? I think a lot of people hold this opinion of Maxi and other things like that. Okay, derivatives. There's a premium on them. A lot of them, some of them, they're different. Hedron's, has different fundamentals and stuff too, but a lot of them may just follow the HEX price, and people are less interested in that because they've heard that 10,000x meme and they need that. They're looking for that everywhere, whether it's putting $100 in or otherwise. Is there a better way to market the products in the community that talk about the mad gains, but also don't incentivize people to expect, $100 equals $1 million? Is there a way to say it where they still are interested, but they don't kind of get confused about it and start yelling, please dev, mi familia, all these things?
Yeah. So marketing, interesting, right? What works, what doesn't in marketing? So from what I've seen, original ideas, genuine, authentic testimonials are probably the best marketing ever. And that goes for any product. You see something on Instagram, and then you see somebody raving with a personalized review of their face, and they're putting their identity out there. They're putting their social capital out there. They're betting their reputation on the product, right? So I think testimonials, and essentially all my YouTube channel boils down to, is one huge testimonial to HEX and PulseChain. And that's what a lot of this really is. I think testimonials are the best marketing. You can do it for free. All you need is your iPhone, and that's literally all you need. You can slap it up on the hex.com/testimonials page. You can put it up on YouTube. HEX changed my life because blah, blah, blah. Or I bought XYZ dollars worth of HEX and I now have blah, blah, blah dollars worth. HEX gave me financial freedom by XYZ. That's the most powerful because that's something people can relate to. That's social proof. That's what that's called. Something that doesn't work so much, banner ads, a lot of times just generic Google ads and Facebook ads, unless you're tracking them from time of click to time of push buy button, which is really hard to do because you'd have to track them cross platforms a lot of the times. And it's really just kind of impossible. I've tried already, and it doesn't work unless it only works in a few situations. Like if somebody was to buy HEX off of hex.com using the interface that's embedded in there, there is a way to track that, but how many people actually go that route, right? So it's very hard to track the success of online ads. Now, that's not to say they don't do anything at all, but the power of them, and I shouldn't say they're bad either. Like banner ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, they're actually good because they create what's called a ubiquity illusion. So if you see an advertisement for something from, I think, 2 different sources and 3 different media, it creates what's called a ubiquity illusion, that HEX and PulseChain, this concept is universal and it's everywhere, even if it's not yet. So if you see an ad on Facebook and then you get a postcard in the mail, and then, that's two media sources, right? And then you get a third one from your buddy who shoots you a YouTube video saying, hey, look at this new HEX thing. That's your third. So now you've got, 3 media, 3 sources.
3 nudges. I like that.
Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, this HEX thing is everywhere. Let me at least look into it. Like, that's the pre-sale. So I would put maybe Facebook, Google ads, internet, online ads, somewhere like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Some stuff that really doesn't work is really just what I call the circle jerks. Making a 4-hour live stream where you're just talking about what you ate for breakfast and not really worried about, no one's going to watch that.
There's HEX in the title though. There's HEX in the title.
Okay. Yeah. That might be like a 2 out of 10. Like at least you're doing something. So, but on the scale, right. And it's like, I guess another quick marketing tip, what would be, like, I know there's a lot of controversy around the NASCAR, right? The NASCAR, essentially what that did for us, it was worth more in after the fact marketing. The picture of the car was worth more than the actual race. You know what I mean? You could have wrapped up a nice sports car in a HEX wrap and slapped that around everywhere and maybe got just as much effect out of it as the actual NASCAR race. And it was really expensive. So think about the bang you're getting for your buck as well. It might have been worth it if it didn't cost $600,000. But what I wanted to get to, the point I was trying to make, is when you're doing marketing, make sure you have a call to action, right? Make sure you put the link in there. A lot of people are making clothing with just a logo. Like, what's that logo going to do? Nobody knows what that logo is without hex.com underneath it. And better yet, there's one thing, one more step you could take and do a value prop. So say hex.com, 32% APY. Earn 32% APY.
Oh, you're getting spicy. You start talking about APY now. Getting spicy.
APY. Yes.
The numbers seem to go up and down, and depending on who you talk to.
Well, from what I've heard from Dipcatcher, it's basically anything post big payday averages around 32 for average length. Okay. 32%, still pretty damn good when you consider that CDs at the bank give you 0.5%.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's crazy.
So call to action, value prop. what does that mean? To earn 32% APY, go to hex.com now. It's a one sentence. It's really short, but it beats slapping a Hex logo on a sticker and then nobody knows what the hell that is. So the real good marketing that I see are, stickers outside, cheap stuff, postcards, stickers, and then pictures of the postcards or stickers. Because, like the sticker is one thing, but then someone takes an image of, oh, what's this cool sticker? It's on the 101 freeway sign. It says hex.com, 38% APY. They post that on Twitter, and that's additional free marketing. Or like all the haters that complain about getting a postcard in the mail, which is hilarious. It's like
all the tweets I see are people, I can't believe the scam made it to my mailbox. Like it's all that.
It's like, I can't believe Papa John's advertised 50% off pizzas. Papa John, what a scam.
Pizza.
It's like, imagine getting mad about
free banana peppers. What a scam.
Yeah, if you're getting pissed off about the mail, you got some issues you need to work on. But anyway, yeah, the image of there's so many random thoughts I'm having. Like the image of the advertisement is also worth just as much, if not more, than the original ad itself. Combine that with a value prop and a call to action. That's probably the most bang for your buck. And I like ads that are cheap, right? So Google, Facebook ads are relatively cheap. I think real life ads, stickers, putting a big hex.com magnet on your car, if you want to dox yourself like that, postcards, real world swag, t-shirts that say go to hex.com on it. That's all low cost stuff that you can do at home. That can really get the word out there. That we're doing I gotta say, we're doing a great job at that. And yeah, we can be doing better, but I think we're still doing better than almost every other community out there.
Speaking of not cheap marketing, I really liked. I don't remember who the guy was, but he was going up to people and saying, "Hey, talking to him about Hex, asking them about it, ask what they know about crypto, all this stuff, telling them about Hex, and then giving them $20 to listen." And to me, I know that's a lot of $20 bills. You're going around doing that, but wow, if somebody talked to me about something and then gave me money afterwards, I would say, "Whoa, I need to go check this thing out." Like, not that they're paying me to do it, but just the fact that they believe in it so much and that they have so much free money from potentially investing in it, that they're giving me their money for doing it. Like that was, that blew me away. I was, of course it costs a lot of money to do that, but that was for onboarding. I don't know how do you think there's any better strategy than actually showing people the money that you make or giving the money directly to do this stuff? Or what do you think about that strategy?
I have to agree with you there. That might be the single-handed best marketing tactic you can get, but you run the risk of doxing yourself, right? So that's why I don't do it. Yeah. Like I don't show people how much money I have, because self-protection, but that really does work. So that Maxim Broadcast, is that what his name is?
I think so, something like that.
Maxim Broadcast, the YouTuber. He made a great video, which got way more views than his average video because his title was, "I just bought 9 billion Hedron. Like, here's why," or whatever. People want that. They want to know, oh shit, this guy had enough confidence to take this leap of faith and he literally bought, thousands of dollars worth of Hedron. Let me go find out why. That's a very clickable thumbnail. That's a great title. So yeah, the Barnsley boys. The good old Barnsley boys. They're at it again with their antics. Those crazy boys.
I was on a stream with Yash and Identity Block and talking to them in the chat, I guess, like talking to Barnsley people. And that's like the day before it all went south. And that was just so weird and funny. And like, I thought we almost had it. I thought we almost had I thought we were going to continue the sponsorship, but it did not work out that way.
Yeah. What do you know? You can't please everyone.
Yeah. $20 bills. Yeah. I mean, if you have $20 bills, that you will onboard people with crypto if you give them $20. I have a feeling.
Yeah. Get yourself a stamp, a hex.com stamp. It costs about $20-$30 with the ink and everything. And you could stamp all your 1s, your 5s, or anything like that. I've heard you can't make them too big. You've got to be.
That's a good point. Stamping. Well,
Stamping works. I mean, you ever get a dollar bill with a stamp on it? You're going to read it.
It's true. I do read it, and I'm like, I can't believe you defaced this dollar bill. But if I saw a Hex logo, hex.com, I hope I see one. I hope I come across one. Or
maybe better money. It's better than the dollar, so.
That's true. I hope I can retire in 5 years. That's something I want to ask you about too. So people, if you're in HEX right now, you're in, you sack for PulseChain, things like that. When can you hope for retirement? Let's say you sacked a significant amount. You didn't sack $100. You sacked, I don't know, like 10K or something like that. What, top of the next bull run, do you think if things go, well enough, what we're hoping for, at least if they go a quarter of what we're hoping for in the next 2 years, let's say top of the bull run, let's say 2025, whatever, just throwing it out there. Do you think there will be a lot of people retiring from this if they're able to? I mean, of course, you got to sell the top, you got to do stuff like that. But you think enough wealth will be accumulated in the community where you'll actually be able to get financial freedom through these products in the next couple of years or 5 years?
Yeah. Well, the trick to retirement isn't just to have one lump sum of money and then spend that till you die. The trick is to have cash flow and assets that pay you. So if your ladder and your ladder's interests can pay you, and if HEX goes up another 100x, the money that you buy today could easily be that dollar value of interest that you need on a quarterly or biannually scale, however many rungs of the ladder you have. Yeah, it could easily be. Hold on one second. Kitty's making some noise back here. Anyway, yeah, you can probably retire. But also, when you do cash money out, if you don't need money now, other things that pay you like real estate, what else? Owning like S&P 500, like dividend stocks, like something safe like that. Those are other generations of cash flow that you really need for true financial freedom. So HEX is one tool that you can put side by side many other tools. But it's the one that I think in the near term has the best potential.
How would you set it up? If let's say the next 18 months, we could do really well in crypto. The people have HEX, they have PulseChain, they have PulseX, they have some community projects on this stuff, and they get a large chunk of money. Do you feel like staking it out, still doing the ladders for the next 5 or 10 years is a good strategy? Reinvesting part of it, holding it, like not even touching it, kind of going through the bear market or going through the bull market again, go through another cycle. Like how would you sort of navigate that for people?
Yeah. Look, I mean, what I did at first was I tried to make a bunch of shorter term, like monthly stakes that tried to time the first bull market that we just had. I didn't time it quite right because I've still got stakes and stuff, but coming out at the all-time lows, right? So that's the beauty of a ladder, is that you don't have to time the top or the bottom. The thing to remember is just stick to your rules. So a lot of my stakes, I didn't sell any interest at all. And boy, I sure do wish I sold a little more interest at the top. You know what I mean? Because some of them, I just restaked the whole thing. But for a new person starting out, I can really only just speak from what I did personally. So my initial try to time the bull market ladder range was between, 2022, 2025 somewhere, or maybe 2021 even. But then I realized, the power of T-shares and all that stuff. So I really started to go longer out. And that's when I started my 15-year ladder, which I tried to make at least one stake per quarter personally. So I think 4 stakes a year, that's enough for me. Monthly is a lot. That's when you're starting to get into a little bit, almost debatably too much, but monthly is probably still fine. I wouldn't go any lower than like monthly stakes. So yeah, I mean, if I had to do it all over again, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd probably make a couple rungs on my ladder in between the years time span where I think the next bull market's going to be, if that helps you on more of a short-term scale. But then I would definitely be making these longer 5, 10, 15-year stakes after that, because we're talking about orders of magnitude, right? Look what happened to Bitcoin. Look what happened to Ethereum. The people that got in the first couple of years and rode it all the way up, I mean, they made exponential gains. And people that are in Ethereum now too, I mean, let's say it drops down to $700 and then goes all the way to 10K next cycle. That's life-changing money for a lot of people. So you can start however you want. I mean, I know a lot of people disagree with me and they just say, do your 15-year stake first and then go back from there, or just do your make your stakes now from year 1 and then go all the way to year 15. One thing I feel pretty confident saying I would not do is I wouldn't make any stake lower than 1 year from now, because not only long-term capital gains tax issues, right? Why wouldn't you rather pay less tax? But you're not going to see much gains in the next year, bear market is one thing. Obviously, we're in a bear market, but I would maybe even wait like 18 months before making your very first stake. Like, learn what it means to hold something for a long time, and then you can reap the rewards of delayed gratification. Maybe even 2 years. But I mean, just to be safe, I probably wouldn't stake anything for much less than 18 months right now, because why not wait out the bear market and get paid to do so?
Yeah, especially if you pay yourself on your birthday every year. Not a bad deal. Kind of like that idea. Yeah. Before we move on to the ETHw and stuff that people I know that everyone's raving about that. I got a ton of questions in the chat about it. I wanted to ask you too. What does it mean to be a true hexagon? Like, how would you define it? What would you say would be the best way to represent the community? And what is disqualifying in your opinion?
Oh man. Well, look, I mean, if you want a black and white answer on it, I think it's just someone that's staked hex. Like, if you're just holding liquid, you're not really getting it. You're not really getting the big picture. Now that's a very personal question too, because staked hex for how long? If you're 90 years old, I don't want to bash you for not making a 15-year stake. You know what I mean?
Extreme example, but yes.
Right. But yeah, and I guess there's a spectrum of how hexagon are you, but to even be on that spectrum, you have to have staked your hex. You know what I mean? You need to understand the delayed gratification component that we're all preaching. Because I think a lot of times today, the way markets are, both in the physical world and the crypto world, is they're designed to be short term. There's planned obsolescence in cell phones. You got to keep buying a new one every year because the battery goes out on you. Same thing with cryptocurrencies. There's planned obsolescence in cryptocurrencies. A lot of these things aren't designed to last much more than one cycle, let alone a few months, because they're designed to get a bunch of people in and build a bunch of hype for the people that got in before launch or very early on. Those people dump, you become the exit liquidity for them. And then because everyone feels so wrecked, nobody really cares enough to continue to promote the product, and it just fizzles out and dies. That's if it doesn't get hacked or rug pulled deliberately, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million ways to die in crypto. You need to prove your long-term mindset. You need to vote with your money, put your money where your mouth is, but by literally making a stake. Because when you make a stake, you're essentially proving to yourself and to everyone else, because it's public, that you're delaying gratification and you're expressing your belief in the product for however long it may be. But if you don't have a stake at all, you're not even on the hexagon spectrum.
Well, how would you kind of think about between being a RH maximalist and being someone who comes from they don't want to only participate in the community, they want to they want to invest in other products or other things in general. Maybe they have interests outside of it for whatever reason. Maybe they have a job that requires them to be to look at other communities and participate in all these things too. But I'm not talking about Corey. It almost sounds like I am, but I'm really not. I'm just talking about in general. I've met people who, they don't, their job requires them to talk about other crypto products. So they feel like that they could never be just in one ecosystem because of this. But like, where do you find the balance between the two of just not being, 100% in the community, but also still providing value while being a part of other communities? I guess where do you draw the line on that?
I guess you got to realize that a lot of these things compete for mind share, and I want to promote the literal better product to people. So, just like in my previous video, are new coins good or bad for Hex? The answer is rarely, and sometimes not at all. And so when there's altcoins that I've seen, I've seen a lot come and go, and I've seen a lot that tries to resemble a lot of the past stuff that has come and gone. So I'm pretty highly confident that a lot of these things are going to fail. I don't care if people want to buy them, but I'm just not going to promote them. So to me, it feels weird, I guess, if you have a big bag of one thing and then you just try starting, promoting a big bag of another thing. It just feels like there's a conflict of interest there. Anytime you're getting paid to market something, you have somewhat of blinders on as well. Like, you're not able to look as critically. Like, no one's ever paid me to market Hex. I've never taken a job marketing Hex. I mean, and that's fine if some people out there want to pay other people to market Hex, but that hasn't really proved to be very effective in any ecosystem. When you have like one guy that's just the guy, basically the guy that they're paying to do the dance or whatever, say the magic words, say the value prop. That's fine. I don't really mind if other people want to promote other coins. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you want your coin to pump harder, why split your attention between, and I get it. Things within the PulseChain umbrella is one thing, but totally different coins, different blockchains, etc. It just never made sense to me. But I'm still friends with a lot of people that promote other coins. Like Dollar Cost Crypto. He loves other coins. Still love the guy. Like, he's a good dude. He's done so much for HEX that I think it'd be foolish to not, just be like, oh, I don't want to talk to you anymore. You know what I mean? So we got to be friendly with each other.
I like how you connect the, what have you done for the community to as a way of, okay, someone new coming in, doing a bunch of stuff and then leaving is different than someone who's been here for a long time. I've put in that time. And then you're like, okay, if they want to do something else, we understand what they've already provided. I think it's a good nuance as well.
Yeah. I mean, just watch people's actions too. It's like, and I've seen so many people come and go that I get very skeptical. Like, I've seen a lot of people that come here, they say they're here to promote HEX, and then they actually have their intentions elsewhere. So that's happened a lot in the past 2.5 years. So I'm pretty skeptical with that.
I've seen some telegrams disappear in an hour. Crazy stuff. Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Corey, by the way. I was totally not about Corey. That just happened to be in the same spectrum of stuff that's going on. I like Corey a lot. But anyway, so speaking generally about the community. Funny question from Jerry. What about a lower back hex tattoo for marketing? I heard they're making it come back. I think you meant a comeback.
You wish, Jerry. You wish.
And then he realized it may have been inappropriate.
Yeah, I know. I was lolling in the chat. No, I will get a tattoo at $1 though. Mark my words. I will get a tattoo. A tramp stamp.
$1.
I don't know.
Will it be a tramp stamp tattoo? Probably not. In that location, I guess.
Probably not. Unless
it can be classy, but just in that general location.
Nah, that's not me. Not that kind of guy.
Not coffee. Okay. All right. Let's talk about. You know what? Since PulseChain launches, why does it matter when it launches? Let's get into that real quick before we go into ETH. Why does it matter? And like, should you be anxious or unprepared? If you had to choose one, anxious, unprepared. Forget about Richard's going to announce it beforehand. Forget about it. Doesn't matter when it launches, all this stuff. But like, how do you think about it? How much consciousness should people be putting into the launch date for PulseChain?
I would say don't let it keep you up at night, man. Pac-Man's 90. Oh shit. Watch out for your 555 stakes then, Pac-Man.
We're going to talk a little bit louder for him.
Yeah, we need that longevity research to kick in for you, bro.
We're working on it. I'm not sure you're going to qualify, unfortunately, but like, we're going to work on it though.
That's awesome.
Your grandchildren are going to benefit.
Yeah. What was the original question? Oh, why doesn't it matter when PulseChain launches?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it does matter. The closer we can launch to the bottom of the PulseChain bear market, or the bear market in general, closer we launch to the bottom, the more we can pump, because the only way to go is up. So it's kind of as simple as that. Also, in the meantime, why not try to make it better? Why not try to make it the best product it possibly can be? So we're fixing bugs in Binance Smart Chain, fixing bugs from Ethereum. We are adding features, things like limit orders, all this stuff that we couldn't have done if we just rushed it to market. So why not, time the bottom and make the product better at the same time? Seems like you're killing two birds with one stone there. I think PulseChain could have launched months ago, but it would have had bugs. It would have been, it would have been like Solana going down half the time, right? You don't want that.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you think people believe like it's not launched because Richard's not doing enough? Do you think that's where they don't believe that they should have to wait longer because he's not doing enough to make it launch? Like what is there any logical argument to this, to like being mad about this?
Richard wakes up and goes to bed thinking about PulseChain and HEX and working on it primarily. It takes like 20 seconds to take a picture in a Gucci outfit and post it to Twitter. So there's a lot of other time in the day. So that's his marketing side, is dressing like a clown and posting it on Instagram, and it works. He's doubled his following in the bear market. Who else has doubled their following in the bear market? So his advertising is working. And then guess what, guys? He's not a developer. So Richard Hart is a project manager, right? He manages teams of developers.
It's even worse. He's not even a developer. We're definitely not going to launch now.
He's got teams, like, I think what do you say, 14 or 15 devs working on the project in different, they're all allocated differently.
2 teams or something like that.
2 teams, but there's different people working on the wallet. Like, it's tough with development, right? Because there's what's called the mythical man problem. the mythical man problem is as follows. You can't just throw more people at a project and it gets done faster. It doesn't work like that. Teams take time to not only learn the code base, but to get into a cohesion where they all work most efficiently. So if one developer all of a sudden has to take time out of his day to train the new developer, he only maybe gets to put in 4 hours towards progress, while he's taking his other 4 hours of the day and putting it towards training the new guy. And you know this. I don't need to tell you this because you were or are a developer. And
I've worked with developers a lot. Yeah.
Okay. That's what it is. So, I mean, and I was a project manager on dev teams as well. I understand how this stuff works. And so being a project manager is a game of putting people where they're most efficient, identifying which bugs are the highest priority, identifying the roadmap and the feature set that needs to get done, prioritizing that. Richard's a genius at all these things. He's really, really good. And he's got a track record of success in managing, many different companies, many different products online. And now, HEX and PulseChain. So he's got a little bit of a financial fintech blockchain background as well. These aren't things that will just make Richard Hart trying to be a developer would actually make the product go slower. Like it would make launch slower because he's not an expert at that. You want to allocate people where they're an expert at. It's like chess, right? Like all the pieces aren't just the same piece. Everybody's got different strengths and weaknesses. So I think a lot of people just, they don't think about this stuff, or maybe they've never worked in tech. But that's my sense.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point of just adding, at tech companies and stuff, you actually adding more developers can kill a project in a lot of ways, because now they have to get up to speed, and if you don't time all this stuff correctly, it can just it can hurt the whole project.
I've seen it happen. I've seen CEOs say that, hey, let's just stack 20 more developers on this project. Then what ends up happening is everybody works so little because they're either they're just training people, or they're working on the tiniest little defects. They're not picking up the high priority things. Usually the more developers you get, the lower quality they all kind of achieve. You want smaller and smarter teams. That actually works way better. You want a lean, efficient, smart team, not a whole bunch of outsourced developers, just basically milking their time slots for all the money that they can get, right? Because there tends to be a kind of diffusion of responsibility, I would say. When you have 20 guys working on one thing, rather than when you have 5 guys working on, and they're all assigned to what they're best at.
And they're highly motivated, they're well taken care of. They have skin in the game. I like to see these packages that they have too as well. I'd be interested to see those details of how Richard's keeping him motivated, but I imagine he's I guess it's self-motivation. He doesn't even need to give them anything technically. Hey, you're at the ground floor of knowing when all this stuff is going to come out. You have all the information you need to make your own fortune. You don't even need anything else, really. I'm sure they're properly motivated, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. Last question before we get into this. Actually, I think there's something to this one. I like it. Why would these HEX sellers push us out of the top 10 when visibility is just important for us? So people selling HEX, not that we're in any top 10 that millions of people are looking at, such as CoinMarketCap, but that is an interesting point of more people selling HEX isn't good for marketing, right? Or is it kind of like a long-term, short-term strategy? How would you answer that one?
So this question here, why would these HEX sellers push us out of top 10? Where? Nomics, a website that nobody goes to? You got to think outside your ecosystem, man. The world is not just the tiny little fragment of the population that even knows about HEX, right? So we're just the tiniest sliver of the pie, if the pie is the whole world, right? Pushing us out of the top 10 when that visibility is important for us, it's not as important as you think. No one's going to nomics. A lot of people ask people how many times they got onboarded by just going to CoinMarketCap and picking a random coin on the website. People go to CoinMarketCap websites to see, price charts and more stats, but usually they don't just find out about coins this way that they're going to hold for the long term. A lot of traders might come to CoinMarketCap and look at the front page and say, oh, here's a coin I'm going to trade today because it's a low cap gem or whatever. I think that person's assigning too much importance to what I think is nomics. I think he's talking about nomics. So
yeah, probably. Yeah, that I would just say in general of I don't know. And we'll talk about more of this when we get into ETH. But okay, I swear to God, last question. What is the downside, if any? Putting liquid hex max perpetual pool seems like no brainer. I mean, well, if you're putting hex, if you're trading 1-to-1 with perpetuals, you're joining a staking pool. That's all it is. You're joining a staking pool. But it's liquid. You get the coins back. You can, all those coins are going to the people who can wait, from the people who can't to the people who can wait. Yep. So watch out for that. That's the one thing. You're not locked in with this stuff.
I would have said that's the only downside, but that's no longer a downside because
Diamond Hands.
They're launching the Diamond Hands contract before. Okay. Basically, you can now stake the perpetual contract coins. So I would have said, oh, well, you don't have staking, so you can't save yourself from your future self, or you can't save yourself from yourself, basically. But now you can. Yeah. So seems low risk. As soon as the audit comes back on the Diamond Hands contract, I almost feel like there's no downside. So that's what's gotten me way more bullish on that.
I think the only nuance I'd say here is, we have Diamond Hands now. Of course, Maximus developers, great guys, they seem brilliant in so many different ways and just fun to hang out with too. I loved hanging out with those guys in Vegas. But I would say that if you have, I think the Maximus, outside of Maxi itself, I think Team and Perpetuals, a lot of the pooled staking pools are things that if you don't have a lot of hex, because if you have a lot of hex, you're going to get a lot of the bonus yourself anyways. If you have 1 million, 5 million, 10 million hex, you can stake it and then you can time it. You can look at the chart. You don't have to go by when the stakes are ending in the pools. You can time it and look at when the stakes are ending yourself, so you can get it's just a more granular way of doing it. You have more control over it and all this stuff too. But if you have, 100,000 hex or 50,000 or something like that, if you have smaller amounts, yeah, it's a no-brainer to do trustless pooling for that stuff. But if you're a whale, if you're a shark, dolphin or things like that, there's less attractiveness to the shared pools because, hey, you can control the time a little bit better and stuff like that, and you don't have to keep using all the features provided to do Diamond Hands and make sure you don't make sure you don't have to save yourself because Hex.com natively does that. I just want to bring that up. Nothing against staking pools. I think they're amazing, but I don't think a lot of whales would be participating, for example, in that type of stuff. Whales or dolphins, but we'll see. I mean, it may be wildly popular for everybody, regardless. Time will tell. But yeah, solid. If I were to guess about the quality, and we can see it, we can look through the code and go through it too. This guy's making some good stuff over there. What's up, Corey? Let's go. Welcome. And that's another good point. No hedron for Team and the Perpetuals. I think with Maxi, I'm pretty sure we get hedron back at the end of it. I think that was the deal. But with Team and the Perpetuals, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's no hedron for that. So that's another reason why you may, consider all these different factors when using them. Corey says, hope Coffee doesn't hate me. Hope y'all are well. He has not said a negative word about you yet. Are you waiting for him to get on stream? Now you're going to do it? Just kidding. Good to see you too, man. Let's get into what everyone's been... Somebody said, Coffee pissed, mashing stuff. Yeah, you just went up and just started smashing your guitar a minute ago. And it looks pretty good after you messed it up, though. It looks nice, though. It still looks good.
Yeah, I put it back together, so...
That was quick, man.
Yeah, I know.
You're more than just your average barista. You're killing it, man. Oh, somebody asked about your guitar. What it was, a Fender or something?
Oh, it's a cheap one. It's an Ibanez. So okay. It looks a lot cooler than it. It's a good one. I love it.
Yeah, I like Ibanez. I had a friend that played guitar for a long time, and he was especially when we were both broke. He was all in Ibanez and otherwise. So I felt okay. ETHw, ETH merge, ETH fair, all the ETH stuff. What do you make of it? Is it opportunity to get cheap hex, opportunity to get rec trading, DGen paradise? How do you think about this stuff? How do you think about what's going on?
ETH merge. Oh yeah. This is an awesome topic. So it's been on my mind a lot lately, and it's really okay. On one side, it's a really good test run to see how PulseChain is going to work out because, they airdrop the system state to everybody. Now, the difference is they don't have the entire community being bootstrapped, right? You don't have whole ecosystem of coins, new coins, and things like HEX, PulseChain, liquid loans, all this new stuff that's going to launch on PulseChain is going to bring over additional attention to the PulseChain ecosystem. Whereas ETHw doesn't really have any of that. So it was a little bit out of the blue. I don't think a lot of people I didn't see a lot of people online talking about the game theory of all the different coins and how they'd be priced on the new chain. And if you look at the actual data on dexscreener.com, you can see that HEX people once again are paving the way of being the top volume coin on the decentralized exchanges. A lot of people right now are going through Kyber swap to do their trading of HEX to ETHw or ETHw to HEX. I'm currently of the opinion that in the long term, I don't see HEX holding a lot of value on that chain, just because we're already going to have PulseChain. And I think ETHw, if it goes the way Bitcoin Cash did, if it goes the way Ethereum Classic did, I've seen a lot of forks happen. And one of them, a lot of forks that were essentially just created because of a dispute between ideologies. And basically in this case, it's just like Ethereum Classic, where the miners still want to make money. So they made this chain because the miners want to make money. So you have to look at the intention behind the chain. It wasn't really invented to onboard new people. It wasn't really invented to increase adoption other than of the actual coin itself. So the miners don't care who's trading what coin on that chain. They just care that the chain gets used enough for them to mine blocks, and that ETHw has enough of a price essentially to continue to be profitable for some time. So I don't know if it will, but I think for me in my mind right now, the ideal move is that if HEX gets any price on the Ethereum proof of work chain, which it has held some of its price, my move right now, and again, this could be totally wrong, so I'm a guy on YouTube, don't just take my word as like some kind of almighty knower of everything, but sell the ETH proof of work HEX for ETH proof of work itself, then, and to do this trustlessly, it doesn't exist yet, but bridge over ETH proof of work to Ethereum, then use that Ethereum to buy more real HEX. So this could just be like a nice airdrop, which is what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at it as some free money falling from the sky that I can use to buy more HEX on the Ethereum chain. And that's because I just don't believe in any of the coins on the other chain long term. So people can debate that and tell me why that might be wrong. It might be nice to have an expensive, thriving HEX ecosystem over on the ETH proof of work chain. I just don't know how that's going to happen. How are you going to keep people's attention within three ecosystems, especially if they don't have the infrastructure that PulseChain is going to have? PulseChain is going to launch with a ramp, with a DEX. We're lucky that Kyber even supports ETH proof of work. And as far as I know, there's no safe bridge. And I'll say right now too that even Kyber is super risky. Kyber was just hacked, albeit a small hack for $265,000 the other day, but it still got hacked, right? Kyber might not be as safe as Uniswap. It might have some holes that need to be poked in it still. No bridge that I know of exists. I've had my eyes on a couple, but I don't even want to tell the world about them because they could just get hacked as well. Just like the other day, or I woke up this morning and I found out that the Omni bridge that connects ETH proof of work to DAI, XDAI, that bridge was hacked in a certain way where it's not like people lost a bunch of money, but they hacked something with the liquidity providers and stole a very small sum of money, like 200 or 260 ETHw. So it wasn't like, which is worth what, like a couple $1,000s. So it's just risky though. These are small hacks, but they still might happen and they could be bigger. We could just not know what we don't know yet. So I'm going to wait till the dust settles to employ that strategy of HEX proof of work to ETH proof of work to ETH to HEX. That would be the route I'd want to go to just get more HEX, because that's my mission. I mean, that's what I find most attractive.
Everybody can way to get more HEX on ETH out of this. I guess that would be the best thing to come out of it, right? If we don't believe the chains are going to keep going. But that said, I mean, these things, we got to look at the time frame. So looking at what Bitcoin Cash did, Bitcoin Cash bottomed in 2 weeks and then found a top about 5 months later. Now, is that going to play out the same way? Probably not, because Bitcoin Cash forked off of Bitcoin in the middle of the 2017 bull market. So everybody was super bullish. Bitcoin Cash did a 19x from the lows, but in a bear market in a bull market rather in 2017. Now then you can look back to I tweeted that out and somebody commented, well, look at Ethereum Classic. And I thought that was a really good point. So Ethereum Classic forked off of Ethereum itself back in 2016. So this was about
kind of like the dead zone, right? Nobody was really, 2016 was a boring year in cryptocurrency. The bull market was just starting to pick up. 2017 was when everything went nuts. But in 2016, I think what happened with, and let's pull up a chart on that.
Okay.
Let me see. TradingView, ETC, CUSD. Check the Coinbase chart because that's got the longest history. And let's go see. So I'm doing this live, so be patient with me. Ethereum Classic dropped 78% in 122 days. So it took about 3 months to bottom 80%. And then from there, it took about 382 days to find a top during the next bull market. So because Ethereum Classic kind of launched more in a bear or like a sideways zone, everything was longer. So 3 months to bottom and then a year to top, which it also did a 59x. So we might need to be patient on Ethereum proof of work, because even if it doesn't really become the dominant chain, as long as there's an ecosystem around it, it's still going to have some value. So it might even be just worth holding through the bear market as well. And then when it pumps, then you can exchange it for more HEX. I just don't know when the ETHw to HEX ratio essentially will be the lowest. You know what I mean? Because that's the ratio I really care about. The price chart I would want to trade would be ETHw/HEX. But I don't even think there's a chart on that right now. You know what I mean? So it's a little complicated right now. I'm still forming my opinion, but that's all I got for you. I'd want to go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I want to go back to your free claim point too, where, I mean, I think I kind of reason about free claims in the kind of in the carrot type of sense of like, okay, we get you in, we get a little bit of consciousness. Okay, now some of your influencers you like, maybe they start talking about it. Now it becomes, it's not just free money that you dump. It's, oh, you dumped it, but now you may go back and buy more and start trading it and get into that aspect, regardless of the merits of the project. So when you mentioned, you're looking at it as a free claim, I guess the counterpoint to that being a positive thing would be, okay, but now it's taking a lot of hexagons. Maybe it's taking economic energy away from the ETH chain. Maybe people are going to start degen trading it, lose all their money, all that stuff. How do you look at this opportunity with the two forks, ETHw and ETHfair? What we know about them is, I guess, if you were to look in the future, 6 months or a year from now, do you think more people are going to make money off all the free claim, the airdrops, or are going to lose money? What do you think?
Well, I mean, typically when people rush to do something because they feel like they have to, they get absolutely annihilated. They get wrecked. They lose all their money. Don't go clicking around on random stuff that's unaudited. I mean, I don't want to be the first guy to test out a new bridge with my stack of HEX. Like, I don't want to open up Pandora's box, but let other people test it out. It doesn't have to be you. And if they get hacked, that's fine. But that's what I mean when I say I'm going to wait till the dust settles. Like, I'm going to wait probably a month before really doing much. The Kyber swap thing seems to be fine. Kyber swap has been running for a long time. But I mean, it is Ethereum proof of work has limited miners. It's prone to replay attacks. Like, we've seen a replay attack just happen on a bridge. But yeah, I would just say you don't want to beta test new financial software, right? You don't want to be the tester for something that you can lose millions of dollars on. So yeah, Michael Light says, I'm not touching it at all until some auditing or months of rug pulls unwind. FOMO is bad. I agree, it's bad. Like, I mean, trading on a DEX seems low risk, but then like any kind of trustless bridge, I don't trust. Even though even if it claims to be trustless, I don't trust it. There are centralized exchanges you could sign up for and go out that route. I don't like centralized exchanges. I don't think it's worth me opening a new account yet, at a centralized exchange just to get my Ethereum proof of work out of there, especially if it might bottom and then pump again in the future. Like, I might just end up holding a stack of ETHw for quite a while, not touching it until there's some kind of either a safe established bridge or kind of a safe way to get that over into the ETH ecosystem through a centralized exchange and then buy up a bunch of HEX. So yeah, I'm probably just going to keep waiting, see if ETHw finds a bottom. Great. And then hopefully in that time, there's a little more track record of people either losing their money or finding something that works.
What do you think, you know, a week from now, Richard's take a look at the situation. He's stepped back and assessed, and he says, all right, everyone, ETHw is looking pretty good. You know, he says some remark about it, and, you know, he does it in a way that, you know, the classic, like he'll take something else down with it, but he'll like pump this up for a reason. I don't want to see cheap HEX anywhere. He'll throw that in or whatever. And then all of a sudden we see liquidity. We got plenty of liquidity. We got all these things for HEX, ETHw, you know, the pumping, the HEX basically stays as the star of the network token wise for the next few months. I guess that's one scenario that would happen if Richard actually came out to support it. But the other scenario of, okay, he just never says anything about it, and then eventually maybe it just dies off and quits. What do you think is more likely? Anything in between?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. A lot of professional companies like, you know, Binance and FTX has taken a gamble, but Binance has stated that they're not going to do anything to support ETHw until it kind of proves itself. And new networks are always the most vulnerable at the beginning. So my thought is he wouldn't want any more attention to be split over on that chain because he'd want it all on PulseChain. My prediction is that he'd probably say something close to what I'm saying, is like, how do we use this fork as a way to safely funnel more money into the real HEX? I understand.
You think that's what he's thinking about? That's what he's thinking about.
Probably. I mean, I get like he doesn't want to see cheap HEX anywhere, blah, 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 all that stuff. But I mean, we've had HEX on QuickSwap before. We've had HEX on Polygon. It's just not as useful because people have to bridge in and out. None of the other applications are over there. None of the other, you know, the ecosystem and the community is not over there. And just like it's not over on ETH proof of work. So it's harder to bootstrap the whole community when you don't have any of the apps that you need on it. Like your wallet's barely compatible. A lot of the DEXs just aren't compatible yet. A lot of the tools that we use just straight up don't support ETH proof of work. So it's going to be tough. It would take a lot for, you know, ETH proof of work and HEX on that chain to really be successful. So I don't know. Right now, I'm just looking at it as, how do I get more HEX for myself on the Ethereum chain?
Well, I guess we can wrap it up with that point on this topic too. Like, how do people do that? How do they look at the plays to get more ETH HEX if they want to participate in the forks and trading? How do they do that without wrecking themselves? Like, what is like the basics that you're trying to stick by?
How do they get more HEX on the Ethereum chain without wrecking themselves? Well, you're going to need to swap trustlessly on a DEX that we know won't get hacked. It'd be nice if Uniswap started and maybe Uniswap does support the network if you just type in the settings manually. I don't know. I know KyberSwap does, but I don't have full trust in KyberSwap yet because I never used it and I've heard it got hacked. So makes my confidence level might be like a 70%, but it's not 100% on KyberSwap. We'd also need a totally trustless bridge with a lot of liquidity through it, and bridges are super risky as well. There's only a couple of different bridges that are in use today that have never been hacked. I think the token bridge protocol and anything underneath that is relatively trustworthy. I think that's what like Binance uses for its bridge and what XDAI uses for its bridge. I think, right? But so if we have some kind of agreed upon bridge protocol and some kind of agreed upon DEX and liquidity, that's really all you need. But it's really, really hard to get those three things. It's really hard.
That's why I want to have this conversation too, just to have an objective, you know, way of looking at it. We know, you know, kind of both sides. We know in the middle. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I mean, honestly, to me, I still look at it as sort of a distraction. I'm not saying anyone should not trade or not do whatever they want with their money, totally. But for me, it's just like, I'm trying to look at it a positive way as, okay, good marketing for HEX. If HEX is doing well on it, it's a test run for Richard to be, you know, maybe fill in some holes of things he didn't know how to handle when PulseChain launches now that we see a fork happening. But it's kind of one of those things where I just hope the community doesn't lose money from it. And I think trading, anything that incentivizes you to trade, such as a fork, I would prefer it incentivizes people to stake. The fork incentivizes people to do that rather than trade. But that's not, naturally, that's not how it works. So I just want to look at both sides. Hey, if you want to trade it, how can you not get wrecked? You want to stay out, not have nothing to do with it. Your coins are still there. They're still copied. If it survives, you can still touch them later if you want to.
Yeah. And keep in mind, like if people start building, but that's why, it's going to be so different with PulseChain. It's launching with PulseX. It's launching with liquidity and with attention. We know developers are coming over. We know they're building real stuff, really useful platforms. And you have a whole community of both users and developers bridging into PulseChain. We have a bridge, Pulse Ramp, right off the bat. It's been analyzed to be the safest bridge protocol that we know of. So Ethereum Work doesn't have any of these things. It was just made kind of rushed to market, really, just because the miners want to keep making money.
Well, that's the difference too with Bitcoin Cash. Was at least, love or hate Roger Ver, the man has principles. He wanted Bitcoin to be cash, so that's why he did it. This, tell me how it's not a money grab. I mean, money grabs can work out, they can succeed, all this stuff too. But the founding principle of this was, here's an opportunity by Chinese miners to make more money. Why wouldn't they do it?
It's even more of a money grab than Ethereum Classic was, because even Ethereum Classic, for people that don't remember, was based off the principles of immutability.
Yeah, exactly.
So it forked because there's a big hack in some DAO. A bunch of people lost money, and then people that wanted to keep that money forked to Ethereum Classic, whereas the real Ethereum were, kept moving along with the hacked coins. So that was at least based on immutability principles of crypto.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this one is a little different to compare than Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum Classic in the way that, it is based on, it just makes economic sense to do it rather than, some founding principle has some big power behind it, doesn't have a billionaire who's already retired and wants to make you rich. He's not running it, but he'll be running the next one, PulseChain.com.
There you go. I don't know if there's much more we could say other than that. Like, it's just new. I've got my eye on it for sure, but only as a way to get more HEX.
I hope that's the way it turns out for sure. I'm still, I think so. Dipcatcher had a good comment. I said, I asked for it. I commented on one of the things he said about it. And I said, be careful out there, blah, blah, blah. And his reply, it was really good, really succinct too. It was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, all the other communities are, except, risk on versus risk off. He was like, all the other communities are thinking this is risk off except the HEX community. And I was like, I love that. Like, I love the way that you said it like that. That is. I
like that too. It just goes to show, like, we are the pioneers. We're testing this stuff out. Some of us may get wrecked along the way, but we are just ahead of the curve because we're not only aware of it, but even the concept of copying the system state. That's something that we've been familiar with for a year now. Shout out to Susie Q. That's a nice comment. I love meeting you too. And shout out to her outfit in the fashion show. I think she had the best with the confetti. That was pretty legendary.
Yes, man, that fashion show was awesome. I still think about that every once in a while. I'm like, man, that was so cool that happened. Like, that was sweet. Amazing.
I was like, Monica as well. Sorry, what?
I was just gonna say hi to Monica as well. I got to meet her while we were there. You might have met her as well.
Yeah. Well, I met her in the last conference, but yeah.
Just scrolling through here. I totally never need a stream. Coffee just about verbatim covers all my points. Well, don't say that because we have a stream scheduled, sir. So please show up. Please show up.
Yeah, you got to come up with something new for that one, Johnny. But I do respect that. Thank you. Thanks for the kind words. We'll hang out soon. He lives nearby me in Chicago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. We have a Washington State hexagon group that we do. I have actually one coming up this weekend, and we do meetups. Try to do monthly or every couple months or so. And it's always fun to meet people, who have like minds and are in the same community, and that you can just meet face to face. You don't have to always video or just type on a keyboard to each other. It's so refreshing. It's nice to go out and have fun with hexagons.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Vegas, gosh, that was a blast too. I mean, I met you, I met Dipcatcher and all those guys in real life, and SJ, met her for the first time, and just so many. I like named the other week. I named like all the people I could think of I met, but I'm not gonna name them today. But so many cool people out there.
So many. It's a wild party. Way better than
Which one?
Which one, right? I mean, it blew away all my expectations. I was like, wow, like the parties collectively were so much more fun than the conference itself. It's not to say the conference was like a failure, but I mean, it was a blast.
Yeah, the conference was it was a way to get us together. I'll say it did a great job at that. If nothing else,
I'm happy it's better that it happened.
Yeah, so that's what I really think people need to look at it that way. If some people say, oh, the conference could have been better in this way or that way, sure, but it could have not happened. And if it didn't happen, we wouldn't have got together, or it would have been much smaller and not as nice and all these things. So the fact that it happened, if you go from it happened to it being kind of low key as far as what could have been planned or what was planned and originally performed, all this stuff, it was a total win as far as that goes. It's just perspective.
Yeah. My only thing is like maybe when it comes to spending money, we could allocate funds a little better, but a conference is better than no conference, because it would have looked real bad if it just got canceled. Like, I mean, and the energy there was it was just nothing but optimism and like hopefulness for the future. It was just no shit talking, no drama, just
no vaporware jokes. I expected more vaporware jokes. That was like not a lot of time to make them, actually, because I arrived
there for one day.
Yeah, I was just in the city of Vegas for one day, and then I took a road trip. So I just murdered everything in one day, and I just nonstop giving people swag and going up, trying to go back and forth. And then the party happened, and it was like, man, that was great.
What a whirlwind!
We got to do that again sometime. I wonder when the next conference will, like, you think in the winter? Is that usually when the HEX conference happens? Is it in the winter?
Well, I mean, now the question is, are we going to do a HEX 3-year birthday party? Because the 2-year party in London was for
that 2-year was pretty hot, man.
Pretty hot. 2-year was out of control. It was nuts. It was I don't know if we're going to be able to keep that energy up, because it's instead of being at the literal top of the market, we're at like the literal bottom. So it's going to be different this time. But yeah. I think we also need to do a lot more local city meetups, intimate, 30 to 50 people, whoever's in the city, whoever wants to come visit. Those kinds of things are awesome. They're cheap. They're pretty great. People can get together and do something crazy to, just do it for the marketing aspect of things too. We could all like go see a show or go jump out of a plane or like do something cool that involves like a little bit of HEX advertising as well.
Are you telling me that you're announcing HEX Meetup Coin live, where the more coins you hold, the more access you get to events in the future for CryptoCoffee?
It's actually an NFT.
It's even better. I love trading NFTs. I love it.
God, man. No coin for me yet. No coin for me
Chicago Meetup. Oh, shoot. Actually, I wanted to address this one.
Yeah, well, there's
go. Yeah, okay, I'll come back to it.
There's a Chicago Telegram group. So join the Telegram group if you're not already, and we can organize a meetup there.
Nice. Also, there's one in Texas, October 15th. Bang, bang. That's in crypto. Yeah, that's one who's going to be at meetup this weekend. Should be fun. I want to address this one. Simba has though. I get this is what I think too. This kind of hits on a point I haven't really talked about. He wants expensive hex on all chains, like his PulseChain. I think that when he said, I don't want to see cheap hex anywhere, he can't possibly mean every fork that ever happens he's going to provide liquidity for or pump and stuff. As people use that as a data point for why ETHw HEX is going to survive. I don't think that's a data point. I think, first of all, Richard says a lot of things that he doesn't mean directly all the time like that. He changes his mind on all this stuff too. And second of all, he can't possibly mean that any fork that ever happens he's going to support. It just doesn't mean that. So I don't know.
What he could do is provide liquidity on the ETHw chain. He could put up all of his ETH and all of some of the HEX, not all the HEX, some of the HEX, and give people a way to decide for themselves if they want HEX to be cheap or expensive on that chain. Either way, it's kind of like you're just playing a game for free, because it didn't cost you anything to get these coins. And then at the end of the day, whatever coin ends up having tangible USD value, and I think that's going to be ETHw. I think we can just find a way to get that over to the ETH chain and then buy up HEX. So I think the origin address or Richard, he could make the liquidity providing play on the ETH HEX pair. If you're watching, Richard, think about it.
Yep, that would be interesting. what was another comment I was going to say? Somebody had something. I lost it. I was going to say something. Oh, yeah. Eggs, milk, and bread are pumping right now.
Oh, good.
That CPI. Actually, I don't know. Michael meant that kind of eggs, but that's just what it made me think of.
Good. Yeah, Jerome Powell saw his shadow, so we got 6 more months of bear market.
Groundhog Day. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great movie, by the way. The original one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they made a remake, actually. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, the original Groundhog Day. That's a badass movie. I like that movie. Before we wrap it up, StakerApp. I just want to talk about that. That's something I don't, I think when it first came out and, we're waiting on V2, all this stuff throughout the years, I don't think a lot of people really get it. They don't really understand how that onboards people, why it's important. Can you just talk about StakerApp and why it is, this thing we have an ecosystem that a lot of other communities don't have and how that's important for us?
Yeah, StakerApp's awesome. It's basically your one-stop shop for anything HEX related and soon to be PulseChain related. So they're coming out with a V2 after PulseChain launches. It's going to be jam-packed with features, including, I think, a fiat on-ramp, hopefully one that works in the USA. And I've heard they might also be adding some level of support for the perpetual tokens like Maxi. Now, I don't know if there's much support for Hedron. I don't think the way Steph's been talking about Hedron that he really likes it, which is unfortunate but that's for more the hardcore, I would say, the HEX power user. But if the goal is just to get HEX into the hands of everybody in the world, which realistically that is the goal, I think what StakerApp does a good job of is exactly that. It's an app on your phone. You don't need to know anything about blockchain. You don't need to know anything about the thousands of other coins out there. You can just get yourself some HEX, maybe some US dollar coin, maybe some PulseChain, keep it all in one wallet. And the user experience is fluid. The game theory with basically StakerApp invented the league system. I don't know if people know this. So the league system keeps people interested, keeps people staking longer. Some new features that are going to be added are like goal setting. So you can come up with, you can name your certain stakes. Like this one is for my wedding ring. This one is for my vacation to Lake Tahoe, whatever it might be. You can save for certain things. This is stuff that typical fintech apps in the space already employ, and they're very successful. So an app in everyone's hands, HEX for the masses, PulseChain for the masses. I like that it cuts out all of the other complicated things, all the other tokens, because realistically, we should only be focusing on HEX and PulseChain. I mean, a lot of these other things are nice, but they're more for power users, right? Like liquid loans is for a very advanced person that understands lending. And look, if you really get to that point where you want to restore your wallet on, let's say, a MetaMask, I don't know if there's a way to do that, but I imagine there is some kind of a way to do that. I don't know for sure, but it's for the noob. It's for everybody. It's what I consider to hopefully one day be the gateway of everybody into HEX. So, you don't really need a lot of this overcomplicated stuff, especially when it comes to the everyday Joe Schmo off the street. They don't care. They don't care about Hedron. They don't care about liquid loans. They don't care about anything. They just want to buy a coin and watch the number go up. And so, I mean, there's a lot of cool advancements with StakerApp. I personally still use MetaMask because I am a nerd and I love all this tech stuff. Like I loved digging down like the rabbit holes of certain projects. I wouldn't be able to really use Hedron with StakerApp, but for 90% of people on the street, like this is the app to get them in if you don't want to hold their hand and explain to them for a couple hours about, how to do everything.
Right. Yeah, I think it's onboarding tool for the masses. Not everyone has to use it. A lot of power users don't use it, or if they don't support something that you want to trade or stake or otherwise. But if we're going to onboard 10 million people, an app is a great way to start with that. Got a couple questions before we wrap up, everyone. Sorry, I can't get to everything, but I'll get to a couple. How can I buy PLSX on the first day launch before bridge? I missed out on PLSX sacrifices. Now I have HEX only. Let me know if you have a better idea. We got coffee.
Let me give you some advice. I'm going to make a new YouTube video explaining how basically I was wrong. And a couple of my previous videos might have led people to believe that there will be a smart way to swap something for another thing pre-bridge. I'm going to go ahead and take the stance that no one should ever do this. No one should be doing any swapping pre-bridge. Obviously, people still will. People still think they can time the market. But if you're asking this question, you're probably going to lose money if you try to do anything pre-bridge. I'd say just wait for a dip. Most coins have a dip after they launch. Be patient, wait a couple of weeks, maybe even a month or two, and buy the dip after the launch. If you try to do anything pre-bridge, I think there's a higher chance than not, maybe 80%, maybe higher, that you'll do something that you might regret.
Yeah, it's the risky thing, trading on the pre-bridge ratio trading. How do you know what's a good deal? How do you know what you're giving up, you're getting back in return is something you want too. You just don't know what the prices are going to be. It's definitely for advanced users on that. So yeah, just be careful, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Question for Corey. Curious to hear Coffee's thoughts on perspectives when he's given this behavior on ETHw. Are you afraid that real POS is under? Yeah, that's interesting. Like,
no,
what
I'm not afraid at all.
Okay.
Why would the proof of stake hex be under threat? I mean, it's the regular hex. You know how hard it is for people to figure out ETHw right now? Like,
Is hex price down?
I've seen so many forks come and go. Like, this is nothing new under the sun. I can say with reasonable confidence that ETHw won't be the dominant chain. So
the hex is at it's at 3 cents right now, but 0.31. When W came out, it was, I imagine, closer to 4 cents. There has been a price hit. Do you think it's related, or you don't think you think people are actually selling their ETH hex to buy on W?
If they are, that's not very wise.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah. Everyone, please have perspective on. I don't want to say, will the real hex please stand up, but PulseChain.
If you want to bridge, I don't even think you can bridge right now because again, there's no bridge. But like, if you want to go all in on proof of work hex, good luck.
That's Coffee. If he will bridge any of his EHEX into PHEX or leave EHEX on Ethereum and just have his copies. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think I've answered this before. In the beginning, it's going to be pretty risky to do this because you're going to end up with probably a lot more EHEX and a lot less PHEX. And because I believe that PHEX will become the dominant one price-wise, I'm probably not going to be bridging my EHEX over to provide liquidity until a lot of the initial selling is done. So I'm going to wait maybe a month or two before bridging over my EHEX into the PulseChain ecosystem and then do an experiment where I bond some liquidity and I see how that works. So this is all based off the initial assumption that PHEX becomes the main active hex. And I've really never seen, out of all the forks in every single ecosystem, all the forked blockchains, everything it's happened over and over again. I've never seen the market favor two ecosystems at the same time equally. You know what I mean? Like, it can happen where Ethereum EHEX can hold some value based off of being primarily bonded in liquidity to hex on PulseChain. That's a possibility, but again, that's unprecedented. So this will be the first time anyone's ever done this. And I would like to see that. I think it's likely that it could happen if the origin address eats a lot of that cost at first. So if the origin address is the primary EHEX PHEX liquidity provider, it can scoop up everyone else's EHEX. And rather than having to sell the price down in US dollar terms, it can give them PHEX instead. I think this would be the ideal play, but for the layman like you and me, bridging over early is not necessarily wise because you'll end up with a lot more of the coin that's worth less and a lot less of the coin that's worth more. And even with the incentive token, I question if it's still worth it in those very early days. Now, after we flush out everybody that would have sold their EHEX for PHEX, and after everyone's satisfied for the most part with their bags of EHEX and their bags of PHEX, then yeah, I'll probably bridge in some liquidity. And that sounds like the safest pair to me after the initial, what I predict to be EHEX dump and PHEX pump.
I think I heard something. I was talking to someone the other day. I heard something interesting about, would there be parity otherwise? And I think the point that came up was maybe the market will be pricing in how cheap it is to do stakes and things like that. How the benefits the PulseChain network gives us for HEX. Maybe it'll be pricing that in to evaluate what the price of EHEX should be. So maybe EHEX will be a little bit lower, but it'll be in the same ballpark because of the newer, faster, cheaper network. I thought that was an interesting view too.
Yeah, it is cheaper, but there's no liquidity. There's no bridges. Like, it's no infrastructure. So
yeah,
It is a bit cheaper and a bit faster. PulseChain will be even cheaper and faster than ETHw.
Yeah, that's what I was saying for PulseChain on it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, I'm wrapping up. I'll take like one more question. Who's got a really good question? Do not engage. Scrolling. Appreciate chat. Wow, everyone, like 50% more people just showed up in the last 20 minutes.
Wow.
You're gonna have to watch the replay, I think.
I guess so.
We covered a lot of ground. Let's see, Money Gang. Gotta pump it up. Gotta pump it up. One of the best intros I've ever heard in my life.
That gets me going every time.
It does. So it does. I'll just be walking around the house, but gotta pump it up. Gotta just so good. Anyone? Did I just scroll through too much? Let's see. Gotta be one more good one. What's up? The Hexagon, thepulsetube.com. If people are interested in aggregating live streams, pulsetube.com/live. A lot of good stuff there. All right. Sorry, everyone, if I missed it, but I think we'll end it there. Great chat. Appreciate everyone. Coffee. Thanks for coming on, man. I know after we talked on the green room, I was like, okay, hopefully I'll see him in Vegas. We got to meet each other in Vegas. I'm like, all right, maybe if he wants to come on stream, I'll see when he's available. So yeah, it's been a great stream.
Yeah. Hey, I hope you don't mind if I maybe clip some of these things out and post them on my channel. Is that okay?
Of course. No, totally fine. I hope you don't mind. I'll be clipping some for my channel as well. But yeah, I don't think we'll overlap too much. No worries.
Sweet.
The more Hex content, the better. So
absolutely.
Look at it. Yeah, everyone. I got what is today? Today's Monday. Wednesday, I think I have someone coming on Wednesday. I forget who. Scott Foster Harris, the rock star guy. I forget his name. That guy. He's coming on. So if you want to hear rock star stuff and Hex PulseChain talk, come on then. The rest of the week, and then I'll be doing 100% uptime on Saturday, probably Saturday morning, with special guests talking about Scivive and Fix the World. Yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Share it, follow at CryptoCoffee369 on Twitter and at CryptoCoffee on YouTube. Follow me at RHMaximus, just the way it sounds if you're listening to audio only, at RHMaximus on Twitter. And of course, you're watching the channel, you're listening to the channel right now. Sub if you feel the need to. Share it. Share the link to this. Clip it if you want. Everyone who's been clipping on Twitter, that's awesome. Like Kaiza, I know Kaiza's been dropping some clips of some of the interviews. Yeah, no problem with that. Please clip it. I'll clip some stuff too, but I think there's plenty of room to go around it. We'll grow the pie together. It's not a zero-sum game. I think it's totally fine. Yeah, go like, sub, go do all the things, and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. See you later.